Thank you very much, Alejandra. Super exciting to be here today. Thank you very much for putting this community together. It's my first time with CFO Connect, but it feels like there's a lot of engagement around this community and a lot of super interesting content that is shared. Of course, thanks a lot to Clément, Clémentine, and Nicolas who are leading the finance in some of the fastest growing tech companies here in France and Europe. So I'm super excited to share with you what you have learned along the way, how you work, and so on and so forth, because we know finance is often an overlooked function at the beginning of the startup, of the venture stories, but quickly become one of the most essential functions in these companies. Before leaving the mic to the stars of today, maybe I do a quick intro of myself. So I'm one of the partners at eFounders. So we are Paris and Bristol-based startup studio. So we basically start B2B SaaS and fintech companies from scratch. And we participated in the creation of Spendesk 7 years ago. So when Spendesk was only two people, so it's super exciting to see that the company has grown and built such a community. I need to disclose that I'm also as a consequence a shareholder of Spendesk, and I'm also a board member of Spendesk together with the other investors, notably Index and General Atlantic. I'm not a CFO myself, so I barely know anything to the finance to the finance function. So I will try not to be too disruptive and try to understand what you guys say. That's it. So maybe first we do a quick roundtable so that each of you can present him and herself, and maybe quickly jumping to how they become they got the job that they have today, so leading finance, because I know the career paths in finance are very various. So it's super interesting to understand what did you do before joining your respective company. Were you hired as a CFO or as a finance lead, and how did you become the lead of the finance in the company? Maybe it's a good start for everybody, and Clémentine, maybe can start today. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, happy to start. So on my side, I graduated from a French business school, and then I don't know if I would say it's a kind of a classic background, but I spent a bit more than 5 years at PwC. So working within the transaction services department. So I'm not sure it's needed to develop on that, but basically due diligence analysis related to M&A projects. And then I decided to move to the corporate world, and I joined Spendesk. So it's been a bit more than 2 years and a half now. I joined the finance department that was composed of actually 2 people at that time, so Fabien and myself. Fabien being the previous CFO of the company. I joined as finance manager, and I'm now in charge of the finance team. And yeah, we're like more than 6 today, 7 including me. And Spendesk is my first corporate experience, if I may say. And yeah, it's been already quite of a ride. So happy to see what's coming next. So that's it on my side.
Thanks a lot, Nicolas from Payfit. Maybe you can take the
yes.
next step. Yeah.
Very happy to be here today. I'm a little bit older than Clémentine, unfortunately. So I started my career more than 20 years ago in investment banking after a business school. And then after a few years of M&A, I joined Casino as joint head of M&A. And after a few years of M&A, I joined Cdiscount, part of Casino Group, as CFO more than 10 years ago. And after that, I joined Showroom Privé as CFO, and then Camailleux, again as CFO and CEO. And I joined Payfit 2 years ago as CFO. And I came here because I knew quite well one of the main shareholders, Axel, and they put me in relationship with the founders, and I had a great connection with the founders and the values of Payfit. So I joined 2 years ago. At that time, the team was only 5 people in finance. And now we are more than 20 people in finance. And I'm also in charge of a few other teams, legal, security, offices, and security. And I help the founders to have 2 fundraising rounds over the last 2 years for a few $100,000 of euros. So great journey, and as Shyama said, it's our CEO. It's only the beginning.
Thank you, Nicolas. Clément.
Hello everyone. So nice to be there as well. So kind of a similar track to Nicolas and Clémentine. I in my past experience, a mix of M&A in investment banking world and a few corporate in France and abroad. Prior to joining Back Market, I was a CFO at VP, formerly known as Vente Privée. And prior to that, I was in a big US corporate firm in Shanghai, China. So I have a few years of international experience as well. I joined Back Market 1.5 years ago now, and we're a team, as we speak, of 35 people in the finance and legal team, split among different teams, and I look after finance, tax, and legal as well.
Okay, super interesting. Thank you very much. I realized maybe we didn't really ask, especially to Payfit and Back Market, what you guys are doing. Maybe I made the wrong assumption that knowing that everybody knows you, but it might not be the case for people living a bit far away. So maybe as a next step, maybe 2 things could be interesting. First, to explain a bit what is the company doing and where are you guys now in terms of development with share the figure you can share. This is the first thing. And the second thing that comes with that is if you can explain a bit the kind of the history of the finance function. It's, I find it always interesting to see how from the first kind of finance hire to the team that you guys have now, 20, 35 people and so on. How was it built? If you can say that in a few words. Nicolas, you can you start maybe?
Yes, with pleasure. So what is Payfit? So Payfit is a SaaS player created 6 years ago by our 3 founders. We are providing payroll, and we digitalize payroll for SMBs, and we are targeting small companies. We are today present in Europe mostly, in France, and also in Germany, UK, and Spain. We have 6,000 clients. We are 800 Payfitters today, and we plan to hire 400 additional people next year. And we had a strong growth over the last 2 years of more than 100%. And we have a lot of plans to grow even further. So in terms of finance, as I said, 2 years ago, we were only 5 in the finance team, with accounting fully externalized, and we basically were a lot focusing on administrative and payment tasks. We've developed a lot of team to create a FP&A that we didn't have. Now we have a full budgeting forecasting process. We take care of the fundraising ourselves, cash management, cash collection ourselves, and we have started to internalize accounting. And this year we're gonna have a new ERP, which is NetSuite, to fully internalize accounting that we didn't do so far. This is it for the finance team at Payfit.
Thank you. Yeah, quite a large scope. Yeah, indeed. Clément, maybe your turn.
Sure. So what is Back Market? Back Market it's a marketplace basically that connects refurbishers with customers. Those refurbishers are dealing with electronic products, which are therefore not new, but which they refurbish to be as good as new and to send to customers which are only B2C customers as we speak for back market. The idea behind back market is to provide to our customers and maybe to the world from a pure environmental positive impact as well, an alternative to consume new product devices by pushing refurbishment as a real alternative to new. And to do so, we aim at being things. First, provide better pricing than new on those devices. Second, provide the same quality standards as new on the electronic devices. And the third one is an absolute amazing customer experience to make sure that everyone we will take a bet on starting to consume refurbished will become a refurbished addict and will never quit from back market first and from consuming refurbished products second. Just to give you an idea, even though I love figures and finance figures, I'm very much into CSR as well. And when you buy a refurbished smartphone instead of a new one, you save the equivalent of 80 kilograms of CO2 emissions and the equivalent of 60,000 liters of water. So you have a really very positive impact on the world we live in. That being said, we have just closed our Series E at Back Market. We are present in 16 countries from an operating standpoint on 3 different continents. Our second biggest market is the US, for instance, and growing super fast. It should become the first one by end of 2023. And we set foot in Asia as well last year by opening a back market in Japan in February 2021. We are 650 back makers all over the world, growing at a 3-digit pace as well. And from a finance standpoint, well, I could have almost say what Nicolas just said, because we've built a finance team which was initially focused on, I would say, the core missions of finance, accounting, reporting, towards a real business partnership function to make sure that we drive the business as safe and sound as possible, and we make it scalable. And my biggest headache for the year to come is to implement an ERP as well. So not sure whether it will be NetSuite or not, but already feeling the pain.
That's a good one. So you guys are 35 in the team, correct, including the legal team?
Absolutely. I would say 6 to 7 people between legal and tax, and the rest being spread across different teams: accounting, FP&A, payment and fraud, some data analytics, business intelligence dedicated to finance, plus those legal and tax teams as well.
Okay. And do you know, it's always interesting, when was the first kind of finance hire made in the company, and what kind of profile?
It was quite early in the life of Back Market, 3 years after it was created, and the profile was a former M&A person, so not a mere corporate type of CFO, which might have made his life harder as well, because it was about structuring a lot of processes that were almost inexisting so far. But yeah, I am now the 3rd CFO of the company.
Okay.
At Back Market.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And Clémentine, maybe we've heard quite a bit about Spendesk, but yeah, maybe if you can explain us how the finance function was built in the company.
Yes, for sure. So the finance team is quite small, if I may say, compared to to what has been already told. So we're like 7 as of today. First position hired was a CFO position. And then I was hired myself as a finance manager, and we built the team with Fabien together. So starting with the basics, I would say, so internalizing the accounting department, and very quickly, I would say 1 month after, hiring our current FP&A manager, and then developing both of those departments. So we're like 7 and aiming at being maybe 10 or a bit more than 10 by the end of the year. So still quite a small team, but definitely I would say efficient. We already have an ERP implemented, being NetSuite, a nice reporting tool. We might cover this topic later on. Being Pigment, I would be happy to do some advertisement for them. So yeah, we might be a bit in advance compared to some of our peers, but so yeah, quite a small team, and I'm only in charge of finance, the legal department being separate, and yeah, the office as well, and yes, that's it for me.
Okay, that draws maybe one quick extra question for everybody, because it seems that in the 3 companies, there have been some changes at the CFO position. We know the life of your companies is not a straight line, so it's normal. But would you have any advice or learning on when is the right time to hire the kind of the real, what we call C-level in finance? I don't know. Maybe you don't have any opinion, but if you have an opinion, I'd love to have it. Yeah, you can. Maybe Nicolas, you can go if you want.
Yeah, I think it's always too late when you recruit a C-level, because it's better to join quite early, because it's when you create the foundations, and if you don't have the right foundations, you can have problems in the future. So what's great is that what Clémentine said, at Spendesk, slightly smaller in terms of size, in team size, as Back Market and Payfit, but they already implemented an ERP and a reporting tool. That's great, congratulations. And yeah, we're going to do it this year at Payfit. But yes, so I think it's good to have a strong team soon, because finance is key to structure and to prepare the.
Yeah, but at the same time, we often see that like the first CFO is not always staying in the company for that long time. So that was more my question. So because if you hire too early, maybe it's not the right fit or the right. If you see what I mean.
It depends. If you have someone that can grow with the company, that's better.
Yeah. Okay, I don't know. Maybe Clément, if you have it's not an easy question, so you made an answer.
But I will give you my personal answer more than anything else. But to me, that depends a lot on what you want as a company to make out of the finance team. There is this kind of evolution of the finance team where initially it's about making sure that our accounting is right and that we are able to report some figures, to moving it to maybe a better position in the way we drive the business and the growth of the company, and making it a real business partner. And this is the right time to me by when you have to equip yourself with a real C-level at finance to be able to make sure that you're growing again with the right processes and tools in terms of finance, but with the capacity as well to project finance a bit out of this initial scope to make it really a key player in the way business grows.
Okay. Super interesting. Thank you. Clémentine, anything on that on this topic?
Yeah, so I agree with what has been said on both sides. So definitely have it rather sooner than later to build foundation and to be able to set up the right processes that are sometimes quite difficult to change afterwards. And yeah, definitely also it depends of a lot of different consideration you need to have if you want to have a lot of funding rounds because you have funding needs, the complexity of your business model, what you want to do as a finance team and what is expected from you, as what mentioned by Clément, and maybe also the experience that the funding team has would also be a factor to when actually hire a CFO if this is already taken care of partially by the funding team. So yeah, I might add those last points.
Okay. I have a few questions already lined up, but maybe we'll save some time at the end and put all the questions at the same time. So I like to move on in a few discussion point that I have in mind or before. One thing that's very different across companies I've seen is the relationship between the CFO and the founding team or the CEO. What kind of how do you become a trusted partner? How do you expand beyond like the technical finance to broader topics, fundraising, strategy, also what you mentioned, Clément, I think, how do you drive the business across the other kind of C-suite? So how do you drive your colleagues in execution? Are there special ways of doing that for you guys? Do we have tricks, and maybe how it works? What's your relation? Maybe first question: what's your relationship with the founders of the company? Yeah. Maybe Clémentine.
Yes. So definitely, I have a strong relationship with the leadership team and with the founding team. So it can happen either through regular meetings, so actually weekly meetings, or with other team leadership members, maybe less regularly, but definitely strong collaboration on Slack or email or various meetings. So on the scope and the split of the responsibilities, definitely I would be in charge of the financial roadmap, the organization of the team, like day-to-day operation, basically, and the team management. But for sure, in terms of overall strategy and organization, this would be definitely challenged and approved by the CEO. And I would definitely ask for his input in terms of specific topics. Definitely, like the fundraising process was led by Rod, definitely, at the early stage at least, in terms of strategy and preliminary discussion with the funds, for instance, investor relation as well. So that's basically how we work. And then, so that was mentioned, we aim at, so we're still a small team, but we aim at becoming a business partnering of the other team. So that's why we are strongly collaborating with the other leadership team, being the director of operation, the chief revenue officer. So for instance, with the CRO, we definitely contributed strongly on the full build of the revenue model and the forecast. So with the team sitting together with the revenue ops, with the country leaders to understand their need and how we can provide support to them. So yeah, so it's basically understanding their need and being able to support them on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, and to give some examples, so we are currently working on the better way to have a forecast that is almost up to date at any moment. So we are aligning the finance team, the data team, the people team, and the revenue operation to have updating hiring plans at any moment, anticipate attrition, have the target settings, so and be able to have all of that on a very collaborative way. To be all aligned on the data and the objective. So this is kind of a tricky point always to have the same level of information and have it up to date anytime.
Okay, super insightful. Thank you very much, Nicolas. You landed in a setup with 3 founders that are strong and very opinionated. How did you make your way and build a trust? And
I just arrived at the COVID situation, so yeah. I had to manage with the founders a complicated situation. So it was good to start, and I was one of the first C-level that joined the company. So now it has changed. We have a full exco level with very senior people. So and we have more than once a week meetings at the ExCo where we discuss strategy and performance. And basically the role of finance and my role is to make sure that we have the right strategic discussions and the right performance analysis at the ExCo level. And so with the help of the finance team, we help both the board, the ExCo, and all the managers in the company to have the right KPIs to take decisions. And we have a long-term view on the business. So we have a rolling 3-year business plan that we update regularly for us to make sure that we are going in the right directions. We are looking ahead of many people to see where we're going, and we adjust the pace and the investment with the ExCo and the founders regularly. And this is our role, to make sure that we reach our target, our long-term target, and that we help everyone in the organization, including the founders, to take the right decisions. And of course, I'm working a lot with Firma, our CEO, on the fundraising strategy. What is the right time? What are the right investors to target? What is the right strategy, and so on. So the idea is to make sure that we have the right amount of money at good conditions to execute our plan. So yeah, we are very deeply involved in both the strategy and the execution. And finance is at the heart of key decisions at Payfit.
So in your case, what you're saying, the war, so to speak, that you made during COVID can help build the trust with the founders.
And the success of the last 2 fundraising rounds.
Okay.
Was also instrumental.
It's kind of this moments that really I guess build trust for the long term.
Yeah, we were lucky enough to do the fundraising just before the tech market crisis in the US. So we managed to have good conditions. Okay,
that's good. The investor didn't withdraw the term sheet. That's good. And Clément, same question with maybe one extra question is how much did you have to educate the founders and your peers on all the finance matters? Because we know a lot of founders and also other execs don't necessarily know well what finance does. If it's relevant.
It is, for sure. Obviously, I fully align with what Clémentine and Nicolas just shared. It's all about trust and communication. And when it comes to educating, it's also about communication. I guess I'm lucky enough to be within a C-level team, which is very much aware of the finance challenges that we will be having. Sometimes I would define that my biggest role as a CFO is to unlock further growth while starting to keep an eye on how we draw our route towards profitability. And as we grow more mature, bigger, and more numerous in terms of people, it's also about the right time to balance growth and profitability, making sure we make the most out of those 2 elements to make the best possible decisions as a C-level team.
Okay, thanks a lot. I see that that time is flying fast. One question I have. So quick question is if you can describe in a few words what your tool stack is. So what are the tools that you have implemented, or we already discussed NetSuite almost for everybody, or soon to be. But what are your tools? And second thing is what do you think you have? Is there one or two things that you have done very well, or you were lucky enough to do, and that are helping a lot? So do you have some magic tricks or interesting stuff to share with the audience? Yeah, not necessarily on tools, maybe on organization, process, and so on. Okay, so 2 questions in one, sorry. And Clément, maybe back to you. Thanks.
Okay, my suite of tools is quite limited as we speak. So we are about to implement an ERP. We chose actually to implement Anaplan last year. So a competitor of Pigment, although I heard a lot of very good stuff about Pigment as well. And that's it so far. So I would say in terms of finance infra, it's more a topic that we need to tackle yet than something that's behind us and that we can rely upon.
Are you using Payfit and Spendesk?
We use Spendesk. We recently moved out of Payfit because of the number of people. So
Okay.
we are not. We were starting to be a bit out of the main target of Payfit.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm sure.
No hard feelings.
No hard feelings, absolutely. No offense, Payfit is amazing.
Yeah, and maybe one or two things that you feel are doing really well at back market or are game changing, if any.
One of the thing that I'm the proudest about, and maybe that make me sleep at night, is the very good connection that we have between accounting and FP&A. It might sound a bit naive, but I've seen in the past some kind of too much of a gap, I would say, between what appears in our accounting and what is reported on the other side. And building on a real partnership and a capacity to very much understand the major concern challenges of accounting and FP&A as one single approach makes us super strong when it comes to reporting, when it comes to making the right decisions, and when it comes to making me confident about the figures I present every month to our exco, our shareholders, and our board. So I would say this is the cement I build upon. And besides that, it's I would say a matter of making sure that we have a vision to scale efficiently as a CFO, and to make sure that we implement the right processes, tools, and we increase our, I would say, capacity to execute very efficiently as the company grows.
Okay, super interesting. Thanks a lot. Nicolas, on your side, so Toolstack and then and Magic Trick.
Okay. I will say the same thing as Clément. In terms of tools, it's mostly Google Sheet today, which is not great. So that's why we are going to move to NetSuite. We are also discussing with both Pigment and Anaplan regarding a reporting tool. So it's going to be implemented this year. So it should really improve productivity, efficiency of finance team. But we already created a lot of internal tools. And that, I think, the two things that work very well in the finance is that we have a great budgeting and reforecasting process that makes us very accurate in terms of lending, both in terms of top line, gross margin, cash burn. So we are very accurate, and that helps a lot. You know, when you do a due diligence process, we did twice last year, and we were very effective for that for those processes, due to the fact that we have a very good accuracy in terms of figures. That helps when you want to do a fundraising round. And of course, we can further improve and be much better in FP&A, but we have a good basis with the very strong budgeting process.
Cool. That's a tough one to implement. Yeah, I know that. And thanks, Nicolas. And Clémentine, on your side.
Yeah, so about the tool, so I think I mentioned most of them, but we implemented NetSuite back in 2020. Pigment last year in 2021 in terms of reporting. So deep diving into this tool, this has basically become our main tool. I open Pigment every hour, I would say, to have a full view on my P&L, on my cash report, on my forecast, on my reforecast, on my budget, and the different versions that we may have. And what is nice is that it used to be only dedicated to finance, and we are more and more implementing it and empowering the other stack within the company, especially the revenue for now, but soon to be the people and the recruitment team, so that they can have a comprehensive dashboard on their own. In terms of other tools, we have for sure Spendesk as a spend management. And we used to be also on Payfit, but we switched also based on our growth. And so that's it for the tools. And you mentioned what we are proud of. I would say the anticipation of our needs. Definitely, we see that it is game changer to have implemented this tool quite early. So that we are quite proud of that, and I would say the same answer as Clément. The team, I think, with Build is strong, is very well collaborating together. So quite small, but it works quite good. So I would basically say those answers.
Okay, thank you very much. Maybe one last question before we jump into the Q&A. Which is more about the funding of your company. Obviously, there are dozens of questions on the funding, but one that's maybe interesting these days. You guys are obviously, the three of you, are very well funded because you announced a funding round recently. Do you look regularly at what's happening on the public market especially with the SaaS and fintech companies, especially in the US, like the big, like minus 70 or 80%, depending on companies on the stock price. Does it change something already for you today? Are you kind of preparing for longer runway or stuff like this, or it's not an issue for you? Maybe Clémentine, you can start with this one.
Yeah, for sure. So we look at the public market environment, definitely, and their trends, but we are still far away from the IPO. So as of today, we recently raised a couple of millions in the last year. So we are definitely focused on executing our plan, accelerating our growth and the development, and to do so, being focused on our products and on the growth we want to have in our core market, and investing in our people. So we are looking, but this is not the main focus right now, even though it's very nice to see that it's been a very good year again in 2021, and especially in Europe, which has been the most dynamic zone. So it's nice to see. But again, so we'll see in the next couple of years what happens and where we land at that time.
No stress on your side. It seems that you sleep well, Clémentine.
Exactly.
That's good. What about you, Nicolas?
On our side, yes, we look at it carefully. Of course, it doesn't change at all our strategy, but we know that at one point we need to do some fundraising rounds once a year or once every 2 years, and we know that we need to anticipate quite well. Because having a multiple of 20 times or 30 times or 50 times your ARR changes a lot of things. Because for the same dilution, you can have 1 year, one additional year of runway. So that's very important. So we look at to optimize the timing of discussion with investors. And we know when the market is good or not. We know when the investors are hot or not, and we adjust on that. And we discuss obviously regularly with our investors regarding that. And but it doesn't change at all our strategy. But just I would say we know we need to optimize that.
Okay, I know you Spendesk and Payfit share the same investor, General Atlantic, so we know these guys are very, very aid on the public market. So I'm sure they bring their problem to the board table. And Clément, maybe to wrap up with this topic.
Well, we do have General Atlantic in the roundtable as well.
As well. So I didn't know that.
So in 2021, we went through a Series D and a Series E very late in 2021. So we are super well funded now. To be honest, I'm looking more at the FX currency markets than the capital markets these days. It's always interesting, however, to see the evolution of our listed peers and understand the dynamics that they are living with currently. How do they report their performance, and what can we learn from that? So I would say it's more a way for me to learn from the public peers than really looking at the short-term evolutions as we speak, because again, we've been through two very recent funding rounds, so no need to find the next best window to raise funds again.
Okay, that's a comfortable situation to be in. That's cool.
So far.
So far. Excellent. Thank you so much for all these very insightful answers. So I guess we can move on to the questions. One of the questions that has been appearing several times is about the key hires that were life-changing, game-changing for the company. Clément, maybe do you have you're not it's not mandatory to answer, but if you have an example of one of your key hires would be helpful to share.
To me, within my team, the key hires are the one I can rely upon to be best at what they are doing that I am. So there are a few ones, to be honest. Accounting and FP&A, we've been talking a lot about them, but they are pillars to the team. I would mention in my case as well the tax and legal hirings. As we grow more international, bigger, we need to structure ourselves. And on these very specific and technical specialties, it was of a great support to be relying on top talented people. It helps me grow in the right direction, at least in what I think is the right direction, and prepare for tomorrow, but also prepare for the years to come with a higher level of comfort than what I could have done by myself or with external advisors.
Okay, interesting. Nicolas, any particular hire that was game changing?
Yeah, I hired a lot of senior people over the last 12 months in the team. First, a VP Finance, Annabelle, very, very strong, to seniorize the team, and also a new head of accounting, very good as well. It helped a lot because we use, as I said, to externalize, and we don't have any control on our figures. With those two arrivals, it changed a lot. And for the legal side, I hired a very strong VP as well. That helps a lot to manage. We have a lot of issues, of course, with the equity, cap table, and it's a lot of corporate issues that were not really well managed. So that helps a lot to have these key hires.
Okay, interesting. Thanks. And Clémentine, maybe on this?
Yes, on this. So we hired back in 2020 Eva Turkish as a senior accountant, and yes, our FP&A manager. So they've been here since quite a long time now, but they've been so they were already senior employees. They had between 5 to 8 years of experience in previous companies, and they were able to grow from individual contributors to team leads on their own, and definitely they've scaled with Spendesk. So yeah, I'm still very happy to work with them. And again, as what mentioned Clément, is definitely I trust them to do what they're in charge of. So I would say those two positions. Yes.
Okay. Thanks a lot. So if I go through the questions, there are kind of very, very various questions, some broad, some more technical. But one question that I find interesting, and maybe it's more for Clément, is with the international scaling. How did you make some like international hires for in the team?
Yes. So we each time we open a position, we open it in every location we are in. In every country we have offices in. So we are present in Paris, so in France, in Paris and Bordeaux, in Berlin, in Germany, in Spain, in the US. We've just opened Japan. When it comes to the other continents, I would say the goal for me is to have local hires to be good business partners to the local teams as well. So we've just hired a great head of finance for Japan. We are structuring the team in the US as well. I would say it's kind of a headache for me, or a challenge to be as efficient as possible when it comes to recruiting. I don't aim at being 100. I mean, when I hear about the Clémentine's team, I'm still quite a few, but I'm already quite a few. Sorry, but I just want to make the right calls when projecting the team by making it as efficient and as operational as possible.
Okay, so you have like American and Japanese people in your
Absolutely.
team, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Super interesting. There's also one question about the scope of HR. Does any of you has the HR scope within his team? No, nobody.
Nope.
Initially, so until 6 months ago, on my side, I had the payroll,
Okay.
but as it grows more complex and we need to manage that properly, we moved it to HR to be a kind of a real weapon, I would say, and make sure that HR covers every aspect of the people management within the team.
Okay. Super clear. There was also one question I find interesting on the debt, so on the capital structure. Has any of you taken any form of debt venture? I don't know, revenue-based financing, or whatever name you can give, or like plain loans?
I can answer. At Payfit we have some PGE loans that we took during the COVID, but it's very limited in terms of amount. We have discussed with some venture debt players that can be interesting. We had good discussions mainly with HSBC. It was in competition with the last round, basically, and we decided not to go further, but it can be interesting. And if you have questions, I can discuss that. But it was a real option for us.
Yeah, and at Spendesk as well, we took the opportunity to raise some debt during COVID period with two PGE. Apart from that, we have small loans granted by the BPI, the innovation loans. But apart from that, no debts. So this is something we are also currently looking at, especially post Series C and Series A extension. We could benefit from it. So we were like in the process of discussing with our banking partners, either existing or new ones. And yeah, this is something that we might consider in the next couple of months.
Okay, thanks. Clément, anything to add on that, or?
No, same here. When it comes to finance indebtedness, I feel like French banks, at least, are willing to find the the good kind of product to finance scale-ups like us, and to provide us with an alternative to fundraising. But it's kind of a journey to educate them, I would say, to make sure they understand what we are, what kind of animal we are, and to make us sexy for a usual credit committee. Notably when you don't generate cash and when you're not profitable yet. So it's kind of a longer bet, I would say. We had a look at that recently, but in terms of efficiency and capacity to raise quickly and with some significant rounds, there is still, on my end at least, no competition between capital, really equity, and the finance debt.
Okay, I think we unfortunately need to call it a day. We still have dozens of super interesting questions, but we could have easily stayed for another 2 hours, I guess. So I'll let the mic to Spendesk team, and apologies for everybody who was engaged in the chat and the question for not being able to put them on the table today.
Yes, thank you very much to everyone in the audience for being so engaged. We had some really, really interesting questions. Thank you so much to all 4 of you here on stage. Amaury, you've been a wonderful host. Clément, Clémentine, and Nicolas, thank you for sharing your time and your expertise with us. And most of all, for your candor and your honesty. I don't think we can hear these types of conversations between CFOs everywhere. So this has been really, really great. For everyone out in the audience, don't forget to join CFO Connect if you're not already a member. Next month, we are hosting a really exciting event with the Senior Finance Director of Gorillas. So another very cool company. And stay tuned for that invitation. You'll see a link in the chat tab to join us at CFO Connect if you haven't already. Thank you again, everyone. That's all the time we have for now. So have a lovely rest of your evening if you're here in Paris with us, or your day if you're somewhere else in the world. And we hope to see you again soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.